You can always sense when someone's energy shifts, when interest fades, the connection starts feeling one-sided. But instead of guessing or overanalyzing, you need to understand behavioral truth. Women don't always say they're not interested. They show it through their actions, tone, and priorities. If you pay close attention, her behavior will tell you everything you need to know. So today, let's break down the real signs that a woman is simply not interested. No mixed signals, no confusion, just clarity. One of the first and clearest signs that a woman isn't interested is the shift in her communication energy. At the start, you might notice her responding quickly, laughing at your jokes, engaging in conversation, and adding depth to what you say. There's a natural flow because genuine interest doesn't have to be forced. But over time, when her emotional connection begins to fade or she realizes she doesn't see you that way, her tone subtly changes. You'll notice it not in what she says, but in how she says it. Her replies start getting shorter. Messages that once contained full sentences turn into one-word responses. Haha, yeah, okay, sure. It's polite enough not to seem rude, but detached enough to make you question what changed. She's not ignoring you outright. She's communicating boundaries through tone. Her politeness becomes her shield. She doesn't want confrontation. So instead of saying, "I'm not interested," she gives you just enough to keep the peace while pulling away emotionally. There's also a shift in frequency. Before, she might have been consistent, replying within minutes or hours. Now it's delayed. Sometimes days go by. You might even notice she opens your messages but doesn't respond right away. And when she finally does, it's never to continue the conversation. It's to close it politely. You ask something personal, and she answers directly without asking you anything in return. That's when communication becomes transactional. You're putting in emotional effort, and she's simply maintaining social etiquette. This happens because communication reflects emotional engagement. When someone cares, they want to talk. They don't check the time or force the conversation. It flows. When interest disappears, the desire to connect disappears too. She might still text back because she doesn't want to seem cold or disrespectful, but her responses lack depth. They don't build connection, they just maintain civility. Another thing you'll notice is her choice of words. At one point, her messages might have carried warmth, emojis, humor, curiosity, compliments, or shared experiences. Now it's all gone. Her tone becomes neutral, almost professional. You can feel the emotional temperature drop. That warmth she once had isn't there anymore, and you can sense that you're not the person she wants to emotionally invest in. Here's the mistake many people make. They overanalyze these changes and try harder, longer texts, deeper compliments, more attention, hoping to reignite her interest. But what they don't realize is that this actually pushes her further away. When communication is already minimal, adding pressure only makes her feel emotionally trapped. She's already emotionally checked out, and more intensity only confirms her decision to stay distant. It's not that she suddenly became cold or rude. She's simply creating emotional distance in the most socially acceptable way possible. Women often use politeness to avoid hurting someone's feelings directly. So instead of saying, "I'm not interested," they withdraw emotionally while keeping their tone kind. It's a form of silent honesty. She's telling you through her lack of engagement that she doesn't see you the same way. The best thing you can do when you notice this pattern is not to chase clarity through more conversation. Observe, accept, and match her energy. If she's pulling back, respect that distance. You don't need to demand explanations or force her to validate your feelings. People's energy always tells the truth before their words do. When communication loses warmth, connection has already shifted. So when her messages feel empty, her responses sound mechanical, and her effort fades, believe what you see. Interest is always visible through consistency, engagement, and emotional tone. When those disappear, Her silence is speaking volumes. You just have to listen without denial. When a woman is interested, she naturally wants to spend time with you, not just through messages or calls, but in real life. Her energy feels available. She's willing to rearrange her schedule, make plans, and look forward to the moments she shares with you. But when that interest begins to fade, the first thing she starts to withdraw isn't her words, it's her time. Time is the truest measure of interest. You can't fake the desire to be around someone. When she starts avoiding quality time, that's her quiet signal that she no longer sees value in deepening the connection. You'll notice it in how plans that once came easily now suddenly become complicated. She'll tell you she's busy, overwhelmed, tired, or that she just needs some time to herself. And while that may sound valid, and sometimes it is, if it becomes a pattern, it's no longer circumstance, it's avoidance. When a woman values your presence, she finds a way to integrate you into her life, even in small ways. A coffee break, a quick call, or a walk together. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It's about emotional effort, not convenience. But when she starts detaching, the motivation to create shared experiences fades. You'll start feeling like you're the only one planning, initiating, or trying to hold the connection together. You're proposing meetups and she's postponing them indefinitely. She may even agree to plans but cancel last minute with vague excuses. Something came up. I'm not feeling well, or let's do it another time. This avoidance is her way of creating emotional space without confrontation. Most women don't like to hurt someone's feelings directly, especially if you've been kind or consistent. So instead of rejecting you openly, they create distance through absence. She believes that if she stops showing up, you'll eventually get the hint. It's not cruelty. It's emotional self-protection. She's trying to quietly step back from something she doesn't feel connected to anymore. What's important to understand here is that time equals emotional investment. People prioritize where their heart is engaged. So if she's regularly hanging out with her friends, attending events, or being social online, yet always unavailable for you, that's not a lack of time, that's a lack of interest. Her schedule didn't suddenly become busier, her priorities simply shifted. Another subtle indicator is how she reacts when you suggest future plans. When a woman is interested, she shows enthusiasm. She'll ask details, confirm the day, or offer alternatives if she's genuinely unavailable. But when she's not, her responses become vague. We'll see. Maybe, or I'll let you know. She avoids committing because she doesn't want to encourage expectations she has no intention of fulfilling. She's keeping things undefined because, in her mind, she's already stepping out of the connection. And here's where most men misread the situation. They assume that if they just plan something more exciting or romantic, it'll rekindle her interest. But you can't convince someone to spend time with you when their heart isn't invested. Quality time isn't built through effort alone, it's built through mutual desire. When she's emotionally disconnected, no amount of planning will bridge that gap. The healthiest response when you sense this pattern is not to chase, but to observe and accept. Pull back your energy and let her actions reveal the truth. If she wants to reconnect, she'll notice the space and step forward. But if she doesn't, her silence will confirm everything you need to know. Avoiding time together isn't about her being too busy. It's her nonverbal way of saying, I don't see this moving forward. And that's okay. You don't have to internalize that as rejection. It's simply clarity. When someone doesn't prioritize you, it's not a loss. It's redirection towards someone who will. When it comes to understanding attraction or interest, words often deceive. But body language rarely does. You can tell far more about what a woman feels by watching her energy than by listening to her words. When she's genuinely into you, her body language opens up. She maintains eye contact, leans in when you speak, and her expressions reflect engagement, warmth, curiosity, and presence. But when she's not interested, her body starts communicating before her mouth ever does. Disinterest reveals itself in subtle, non-verbal cues. You'll notice her maintaining physical distance, crossing her arms, or positioning her body away from you. Her eye contact becomes inconsistent, either too brief or distracted. She might check her phone often, look around the room, or seem restless during conversation. It's not always intentional, it's instinctive. When the emotional connection isn't there, her body naturally seeks to create space. Pay attention to her energy in social settings. When a woman feels emotionally engaged, her presence is easy to feel. She'll smile genuinely. Her tone carries warmth, and she responds with attentiveness. But when she's detached, everything about her becomes minimal. Her smile feels forced, her laughter sounds polite, and her responses seem mechanical. You can sense that she's physically present but emotionally somewhere else. That disconnect between her presence and her participation is a major indicator of disinterest. Even small gestures matter. When she's interested, she'll subtly mirror your movements, leaning forward when you do, smiling when you smile, or matching your rhythm of speech. This mirroring is unconscious. It's the body's way of saying, I'm connected with you. But when that connection fades, the mirroring stops. Instead of synchrony, you'll feel dissonance. You move closer and she slightly leans back. You touch her hand and she subtly pulls away. You speak emotionally and she looks away. These aren't random behaviors. They're her nonverbal boundaries signaling disinterest. Now, it's important to differentiate between comfort and interest. Some women are naturally reserved, shy, or cautious, so they may not display open body language initially, but there's a difference between modesty and avoidance. When someone's simply reserved, their energy still feels calm and attentive. When someone's disinterested, their energy feels closed and unavailable. One invites connection at a slow pace, the other avoids it completely. When you're around her, observe how her body reacts to your presence. Does she seem relaxed or tense? Does she face you or keep her torso angled away? Does she hold eye contact comfortably, or does she look around as if waiting for the moment to end? Disinterest often looks like impatience. She's there physically, but emotionally, she's already left. Another powerful indicator is physical touch, or the lack of it. When a woman feels connected, touch becomes natural, a hug, a gentle tap, or a playful push. But when she's not interested, touch becomes uncomfortable. Even accidental brushes might make her pull back or stiffen. Her body language creates an invisible wall that says, don't come closer. What's crucial here is that you don't ignore these signals. Many people make the mistake of interpreting politeness as interest. Just because she's smiling doesn't mean she's engaged. Just because she's listening doesn't mean she's emotionally invested. Women are often socially conditioned to remain kind even when they're disinterested. So her politeness isn't confirmation of attraction. It's simply emotional intelligence. The truth is, attraction lives in energy, not in words. When a woman's body language turns cold, distant, or unresponsive, it's her subconscious expressing what her mouth won't say. She's not feeling the connection. And that's not something you can talk her into changing. Instead of trying to interpret or correct her cues, trust them. Her disengaged body language isn't rejection. It's revelation. It's clarity that allows you to stop over-investing where emotional reciprocity doesn't exist. When her body says, I'm not here, listen, because energy never lies, even when words do. One of the clearest indicators that a woman isn't genuinely interested is when she repeatedly tells you she's too busy, yet somehow she's not too busy for everyone else. You'll hear excuses like, I've just been overwhelmed. I have a lot going on right now. or I don't have time for anything lately. But when you look closer, she's active online, engaging with friends, attending events, or spending time with others. That's when you realize it's not about her schedule, it's about her priorities. Being busy is a convenient and socially acceptable way to distance oneself from someone without direct confrontation. It's emotionally softer than saying, I'm not interested, but it communicates the same message. When a woman is into you, she makes time, even when life is hectic. She'll text you back between meetings, squeeze in a quick call before bed, or find small ways to stay connected. Why? Because interest fuels effort. People prioritize what feels emotionally rewarding to them. When she repeatedly tells you she's too busy, yet her energy seems available elsewhere, she's drawing an invisible line. It's her polite way of signaling, you're not part of my emotional priority list. You'll notice she delays responding to your messages but quickly replies to others. She says she doesn't have time to meet, yet her stories show her out with friends, posting, laughing, or relaxing. This pattern reveals everything you need to know. Her unavailability isn't circumstantial, it's intentional. And here's the emotional trap many people fall into. They believe that if they wait patiently or stay consistent, she'll eventually notice and make time. But that's not how genuine interest works. Time doesn't create interest. It only exposes where it doesn't exist. You can't earn priority through persistence. The truth is, no one is ever too busy for what or who they truly want. When something matters, we adjust our schedule. When it doesn't, we use the schedule as an excuse. It's also important to understand that women often use busyness to avoid confrontation. They don't want to seem harsh or unkind, especially if you've shown genuine care. So instead of saying, I don't feel the same way, they say, I've just been busy. It's not manipulation, it's emotional self-protection. She's hoping that by creating distance gradually, you'll pick up the message without forcing her to verbalize it. If you notice this pattern, don't chase or confront her about it. Simply match her energy. If she stops initiating, stop overextending. If she keeps giving you vague answers, stop seeking clarity she doesn't want to give. The goal isn't to punish her, it's to protect your own emotional balance. When you withdraw your effort, you'll see the truth quickly. A woman who's genuinely interested will feel the absence and reach out, but a woman who isn't will simply let the silence grow. Social media often exposes the truth in these situations. You'll see her active online while ignoring your messages, or liking posts while telling you she's overwhelmed. This inconsistency isn't accidental. It's avoidance through selective engagement. She's available for what feels good to her, not for what feels like emotional responsibility. That's why it's essential to observe patterns, not words. Don't take her busyness as rejection of your worth. It's simply her clarity about her own feelings. You can't force emotional availability where it doesn't exist. Trying to convince her to make time for you will only drain your energy and dignity. Remember, attention is not earned through effort. It's reciprocated through desire. So when she's always busy for you but free for the world, believe what you see. Stop interpreting her excuses through hope and start interpreting them through truth. The difference between someone who's busy and someone who's disinterested is simple. One communicates effort despite their schedule. The other uses their schedule to avoid effort. Her busyness isn't the problem. Her priorities are. And if you're not one of them, that's your cue to stop waiting and start walking toward people who don't make you beg for time. Curiosity is the invisible thread that keeps connection alive. When a woman is genuinely interested in you, she naturally wants to know more, not just about surface details, but about who you truly are. She asks questions about your thoughts, your goals, your feelings, and even the little things that matter to you. She remembers your stories, follows up, and shows genuine engagement. But when she's no longer interested, that curiosity vanishes, and with it, the connection begins to fade. You'll notice a subtle shift in conversation. Questions that once flowed freely now become rare or entirely absent. She no longer asks about your day, your opinions, or your dreams. If she does, it's out of formality rather than interest. Conversations become one-sided. You're the one sharing, explaining, and opening up, while she responds minimally or diverts the topic back to herself. This is one of the clearest signs that she's emotionally checked out. Genuine curiosity isn't just about asking questions, it's about emotional investment. When someone cares, they actively listen and remember. She will recall details you shared days or weeks ago and bring them up naturally. She will connect the dots between your past stories and present conversations. But when interest fades, she stops paying attention. She forgets what you said, misses the details, and fails to connect emotionally. That's a subtle but powerful indicator that her energy is no longer directed toward you. Another sign is her responsiveness to your enthusiasm. When you share something meaningful, an achievement, a challenge, or even a dream, she will either respond neutrally or minimally. There's no spark in her tone, no follow-up questions, and no encouragement. Her replies feel polite but detached, as if she's performing a social duty rather than engaging emotionally. That lack of curiosity is her subconscious way of signaling that she isn't invested in your life or growth. Many people confuse her lack of curiosity with busyness, mood swings, or personality differences. While those factors can affect interactions temporarily, patterns reveal truth. If she consistently shows no interest in your thoughts, feelings, or experiences over time, it's not circumstantial, it's behavioral. She's not curious about your world because your world doesn't matter to her in the way it once did, or in the way it would if she were genuinely interested. This isn't about her being cold or unkind. It's about emotional allocation. People naturally invest energy where they feel value and connection. When curiosity fades, it's not because of anything you did wrong. It's because her emotional investment has shifted elsewhere. Trying to force engagement or provoke questions will rarely succeed. You cannot manufacture curiosity where it doesn't exist. It's also essential to notice how she interacts with others. If she shows genuine curiosity with friends, family, or colleagues, but not with you, the contrast is undeniable. She knows how to be attentive and present when she wants to be, which confirms that her distance toward you is a choice, not a limitation. Patterns always expose truth more reliably than words ever can. The most empowering response when you notice this is to stop over-investing in someone who doesn't reciprocate. If her curiosity is absent, it's a sign to protect your energy. Continue to live your life fully, share your stories with those who genuinely care, and allow her absence of curiosity to reveal what you deserve: attention, respect, and engagement from someone who truly values your presence. Remember, connection thrives on mutual interest. When curiosity disappears, the relationship inevitably loses depth. Her indifference isn't a rejection of you personally, it's a reflection of where her emotional energy is focused. By recognizing this early, you save yourself time, emotional labor, and frustration while opening space for someone who truly wants to know the real you. When a woman is genuinely interested, conversations are never just about words, they're about connection. She engages deeply, shares feelings, and invites you to do the same. There's vulnerability, emotional exchange, and a natural flow that makes both parties feel seen and understood. But when interest fades, the conversations take on a different tone. They become surface level, polite, and emotionally distant. This is one of the clearest signs that she's no longer invested. Surface level conversation means everything stays on neutral ground. She talks about weather, TV shows, social events, or work, but nothing that touches your heart, challenges your thinking, or creates intimacy. Questions are mechanical rather than curious. Responses are brief rather than reflective, and she avoids topics that could reveal emotional depth. The conversation feels functional. It exists to fill space rather than build a connection. Emotional distance often accompanies this pattern. When you attempt to share something personal, meaningful, or vulnerable, she either redirects the conversation or responds minimally. There's no empathy, no follow-up, and no effort to connect emotionally. You might feel like you're speaking into a void. Your words aren't met with genuine engagement, only polite acknowledgement. This isn't a temporary mood or a bad day. It's a consistent pattern signaling detachment. A key indicator is how she responds to your enthusiasm or vulnerability. When you share excitement about a goal, an achievement, or a dream, she doesn't mirror your energy. She doesn't celebrate, ask for details, or express interest. When you share challenges or frustrations, she doesn't validate your feelings or provide support. Instead, her responses are neutral, brief, or even dismissive, maintaining emotional distance. This emotional gap is her way of signaling that she's not invested in the connection. Many people mistake this behavior for shyness, stress, or preoccupation. While those factors can influence interactions temporarily, consistent surface-level conversation is a behavioral pattern. It's her way of maintaining politeness without allowing intimacy. Women are socially conditioned to be kind even when they're not interested. So the conversation may feel polite, but the emotional energy isn't there. Another way to recognize this is by observing her curiosity or lack thereof. When a conversation is emotionally engaging, she asks meaningful questions, remembers details, and connects your stories over time. When she's surface level, she asks nothing beyond the basics, and even those questions feel obligatory rather than genuine. She's maintaining a relationship of convenience, not connection. This emotional distance also serves as a protective mechanism. By keeping conversations shallow, she avoids vulnerability and ensures you don't develop expectations she doesn't intend to meet. She's creating boundaries without confrontation, which is her subtle way of saying, I don't see a deeper connection here. Recognizing this early is crucial to protecting your own emotional well-being. The healthiest response is to align your emotional investment with hers. Don't push for intimacy, depth, or vulnerability where it isn't reciprocated. Notice her energy, observe the pattern, and respect the boundaries she's signaling. Emotional connection is a two-way street. If she's not engaging, it's not about fixing her. It's about choosing relationships that honor your time, energy, and emotional availability. When you experience consistent, surface-level, emotionally distant communication, it's a form of clarity disguised as politeness. Accepting this truth frees you from over-investing in someone who isn't fully present. The sooner you recognize it, the sooner you can focus on relationships that provide genuine connection, mutual curiosity, and emotional reciprocity. When a woman isn't interested, her actions and energy reveal the truth long before her words do. Minimal communication, avoidance of time together, closed-off body language, selective busyness, lack of curiosity, and emotionally distant conversations are all signs pointing to disinterest. Recognizing these patterns isn't about assigning blame or overanalyzing. It's about protecting your emotional energy and gaining clarity. True connection requires mutual effort, engagement, and genuine interest. And when those elements are missing, it's a signal to step back, respect the boundaries she's creating, and focus your time and energy on people who reciprocate your investment. Attention and care are valuable. Give them where they are truly appreciated.